The Symbolism of Neptune. Astrologically speaking, Neptune is associated with idealism, undoing and dissolution of the status quo, evolution, confusion, and vagueness on the way to discovering universal truths. A youthful and sometimes naive spirit characterizes those with a strong placement of Neptune in their natal charts. Neptune also represents artistry, poetry, fantasy, dreams, intuition and illusion. And finally, it represents empathy, mercy and compassion. Neptune exhibits warm-hearted and humane characteristics. A Neptunian is gentle, tender-hearted and kind. But above all, Neptune brings heaven to earth. It is considered the planet of psychic receptivity. Neptune rules spirituality and is associated with spiritual enlightenment. Everything that is subtle, intangible, and ethereal is Neptunian. It dreams, schemes, and produces magical, mystical things. But Neptune can cause illusions, delusions, and deceptions. At its worst, magic can become trickery, and a vulnerable nature may be susceptible to disillusionment. There may be deceit and guilt and addiction and hope that is sometimes unrealistic. All this symbolism is classic astrology and can be found in practically all good astrological sites or books, but there is a mystic side to Neptune that is extremely relevant to today. And one way to start this investigation is by examining its glyph. A glyph. Neptune's glyph is taken directly from Neptune, the water god's trident, symbolizing the curve of spirit, being pierced by the cross of matter. We have videos on the symbolism of the cross and the rivers and Holy Grail. The crescent represents receptivity and is pointing upwards, indicating spiritual receptivity, and is placed above the cross of matter. In other words, spirit is more important than matter, or if you prefer, this symbolizes the yearning of the soul to break free from the restrictions and limitations of matter. As such, the Neptunian character is essentially that of the mystic. Mythology. In classical Roman mythology, Neptune is the god of the sea and the deep. Ocean blue colour of the planet Neptune reflects this. See our video, Ocean and Sea. Neptune is said to be the ruler of Pisces, another watery symbol, representing a change of ideas, with the new still connected to the old, evolution and not revolution. In other words, the planet symbolizes all things watery, spiritual, changes of ideas, spiritual enlightenment and emotion. It opposes the hard, egotistical, symbolically masculine onslaught of the conscious self with a symbolically feminine subconscious. Ultimately, however vague, irrational, emotional and abstract the ideas from a Neptunian may be, they offer us the only hope in these days of the supremely confident, egotistical, male-dominated society in which we live, not to annihilate ourselves. Ironically, spirit input, the feminine and subconscious, are symbolically blue, whereas the hard, rational, unemotional masculine traits are symbolically red. Red pill and blue pill. But this time, the blue pill must override the red. Harnessing a Neptunian. The very nature of a fully fledged Neptunian in full flood is enough to turn the average non-Neptunian away permanently. But here lies the problem. At their very worst, the average ramblings of a Neptunian may appear contradictory, inconsistent and erratic, uncertain, hesitant, gauche and awkward, touchy, oversensitive, thin-skinned, even hypersensitive, unrealistic, self-deceiving and impractical, dishonest, deceitful, even double-dealing, undisciplined and uncontrolled, vague, dreamy, dippy and nebulous, slapdash and imprecise, disorderly, disorganized, unmethodical and scatty. But they may be right, and this is key. They may be right. The average masculine, rational being may sigh with disdain at these obsessive, neurotic, anxious, sentimental, romantic beings, but difficult times deserve imaginative solutions, and sometimes intuition provides far better answers than simple logic. And it needs to be remembered that the majority of people with very high Neptunian traits are freedom-loving idealists, open-minded and flexible and receptive to change. That their apparently unworldly nature may be the door to forms of change that others had not even considered. That their somewhat spiritual and ecstatic behaviour may mask a meditative, contemplative and reflective side that is actually crystal clear, but very difficult to express in words. That their sensuous, almost promiscuous behaviour may hide affections that have no bounds, and that what may appear to be the ramblings of someone close to a child may be the same subtle, intuitive writings of a genius. Indeed, only those with transcendence may save us. In summary, all things Neptunian are essentially spiritual. In his alternatively named Greek form, Poseidon, he was even the father of Pegasus, the means of transport of heroes, who with his hoof could open up a spring. Poseidon was the god worshipped in the main temple of the Isle of Atlantis, in the myth narrated by Plato, in the dialogues Timaeus and Critias. The island was swallowed up by an earthquake caused by Poseidon himself. The earth was not made for materialists. When atheism and self-interest start to take over, the world goes into a form of self-destruction. Quote by astrologer FBC, March 2009. Neptune describes the idea of things like compassion, being out of the here and now, the sense you have when you get lost in a film or when you are lost in a painting. You are not here for a while, but in some other state. Drugs, alcohol and the like can appear to get you there, but being in love, meditation, dancing, etc., can. If you have this archetype strongly present, then you have the creative side as well as the addictive side. Pop stars, artists, etc., are always addicted to something, but are extremely creative. It's the same archetype. It's people who can easily escape from reality. The trick is to do it positively. It's romantic, idealistic, non-materialistic, compassionate. Helps the world, but is also a victim energy. The helper, the codependent, all these go together in astrology. As an aside, I think when one goes on a trip, the experiences will be very different depending on where you are in yourself. Some go to heaven, so to speak, some to hell. Addiction is tricky stuff, as I think it is about trying to reach the state you are talking about, but it is actually unreachable, a longing to be without a body, for being back where we came from, nirvana, and all that.